of course. You know, if you're going to do any master anything, of course you have to have tons of background. But to make a breakthrough, you don't. You see, and it's like what has to happen. And I said, like, you know, obviously one thing, you have to create it as possible, and you have to think it's possible for you. These are two things that happen, right? And then you have to be able to, okay, think something nobody else has thought, go places nobody else has gone. So in any case, so you imagine, it's like how you would take that on. Now, probably the first thing, besides it's impossible, because the second thing is that it'd be impossible for you, right? So maybe somebody could do it, but I couldn't do it. You know, how could I have the audacity to do it? Oh, what arrogance! I couldn't possibly do it, right? See, this is 99% of everybody. That's one of the first things that'll come up for them. I couldn't do that. See, that requires something. That's like mastery or something. I couldn't master something. See, that requires something that's, you know, inhuman, or it's only for special people or something. See, so you got to get over those two things right away. That it's impossible, even though you can't think it, and you can't solve the solution. You can't, you know, grab the solution right away, or probably for a few years, working on the problem, and that you couldn't do it. You'd have to get over that too. So now imagine, I mean, try to imagine that. Say, what would be the case for you if you did that? Yeah.
But you were not like a random guy in the street. Like, you already had, I think, quite a lot of insights about martial arts in general, and like, it was not just an idea like, oh, I could take up martial arts and create effortless power. Like,
yeah.
It was a continuity already when we had this insight of effortless power, right?
No. Not exactly.
Okay.
But we're not talking about me, we're talking about you.
Well, you're the only example of a person who did that, so...
Did that, yeah, but okay. See, maybe not that, but we're talking. See, we're just like this one.
Yeah.
See, we're just kind of using this one for now, for the moment, right?
Mm.
Because we're using me as an example of something that could be done. So, but then how could you do it?
Yeah, so if I take your analogy, it seems that I first have to dive quite deep in some domain, and then I can have some creative insight. But they don't come from nowhere. Like,
But why? See, really, we're just talking about effortless power. You would have to have some way to go about being able to test yourself, right? But you could invent something. Say, you have to be a martial artist? No.
No,
You don't have to do martial arts, is it?
yeah, I agree. But what I mean is like creative ideas. Okay, how can I explain? So what you were saying is that most people are skeptical that they can be creative because they say, I cannot be a master, blah, 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 blah. But in your case, it seems that this creative idea came to you when you were already a little bit of a master in something, which also gave you confidence. But if we take any normal person in the street who do not master anything already, it's quite a big leap to suddenly have a creative idea and commit to it.
It's always a leap. But yeah, I hear what you're saying. But when I was in judo, as a teenager, I made a huge creative leap there also. And I was not, you know, I hadn't mastered judo or anything else at that time. I had no background. I was just another schluck. I was a random guy off the street for the most part, you know. I was just training. I was no better than anybody else. The only real difference between me and everybody else that I could discern is I was more determined than others because I'm a little nuts, so, you know. So, but, you see? So I wasn't standing on, oh, I've mastered stuff. It's what happened so that I could master it, in a sense, you see. You know, and grasp, oh, see? And it was such an experiential realization, you know, or insight, that virtually overnight it turned around. See? So I wasn't standing on being good. I became good because of it. And did anybody else do that in my school? Not on your life. Did anybody else do that I saw? No. Were there some really good people in judo? Yes, there were. And see, okay, once again, take it out of me. Fuck me, okay? Don't worry about me. How about you? See, how would you do it? What's necessary for you to do it? See, right now, I've created the possibility, but you still don't know how to do effortless power. See? But you could. How could you do that? See? How would you have to think? See, so before we even address it at some point, and it'll be minor in comparison to things, but say, before we even address it, how could you put your mind so that you could grasp effortless power right away when I teach you, right away? What would have to happen there? See, so now, see, take a look. What's going on in your mind? You might have like, well, determination. Okay, I'm determined. I'll get it. Not that's not gonna work. It's okay. You'll be determined. See, that's not gonna work. See, openness. That's better. That's better. So you have open. Wow, I really have to be open. See, unfathomable possibility. You're gonna have to have that. See, that you could actually do it. See, you could do something that's unfathomable. Anyway, you understand what I'm saying? It's like you would, see, try to grab what's necessary. And this is something that's like, I'm giving you, it's like there. Still, it's a leap. It's a real leap, huge leap. See, just to make the leap. See? So consider that. And then just, so that'd be unusual learning. Yeah? We talked about unusual learning, powerful learning, like remember talking about the violin? You make distinctions, you watch, you grasp. See, and people don't think they can do that. People don't think they can do that. Say, well, I got to go screech, screech, screech for a few thousand years, and then study with teacher, and they're going to coach me like that. And maybe 30 years from now, be really good at the violin. See? And imagine that. See, imagine that. See? Like I said, I went from a regular guy in judo, and in a year and 2 months, 3 months, a year and 3 months, I was a black belt. So that it was a total of 2 years. Nobody in that school gotten black belt earlier than 5 years. And like I said, I was slowed down a little bit because the older guys hadn't gotten their black belt, and he couldn't, promote me. It would have been embarrassing. So I helped them get their black belts. I probably could have shaved a couple months off if I didn't have to help them do it. But in any case, you see, that's that I would think is some good learning, see? some powerful learning. But the thing is, see, that's based on the realization of knowing what to do. See, of knowing the principle involved here in judo, and then just finding it in the mechanics of things. See? Which happened very rapidly in comparison to doing the mechanics, trying to find the principle. See? So having the insight is better in my thinking. See, to grasp first, and then manifest it, rather than spend all your time, trying to find something, which is what most people do. And I did too for the first 9 months in this school when I was a teenager. See, so we have this opportunity with the effortless power, but then in your world, you do stuff, right? You have a life. I'm the only guy that doesn't have a life, right? So you have a life, you got stuff, right? And you have maybe ambitions, and you have a career, or at least thoughts of a career, or, you know, whatever. You got shit, right? And then there's things you like to do. Yeah, see? Now, so in your world, what could you create that nobody's ever created before? And it doesn't have to be restricted to your world, but you see, like, what could you create? See? That nobody has the thought, nobody has made this distinction yet, nobody has created it yet. See? Has not been done. See? You'd have to be the first. And you won't get a lot of support for it. Because, you know, you're the first.